we have gold, and this was like a few years ago. They're gold bugs, and it's not that Cryon told them to buy gold. It's that they bought gold, and this was some years ago. So, if you have gold, or you've had gold, and silver, I guess, to some extent, you're not going to be like quite as worried about things. That's how I feel about it, kind of. It's not what Cryon said. I don't recall him ever like saying, "Oh, you better go buy gold." I don't think he's ever said anything about it. He did say that Bitcoin would be with us. That it's not going to just it's not a fad. He didn't say to buy Bitcoin either, though. But he said it's always going to be here. It's not going to go away. This is something that's somewhat of a fixture in our society. He didn't say to go buy it. He just said, no, this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And no, we're not going to go back. I don't think we're going to go back to a gold standard. But it's going to be instrumental in helping people get through. I do think it'll be instrumental. I think there's going to be, no one thing is going to be like the fix-it-all. It's going to be done by a number of things, like, for example, silver, gold, and Bitcoin, and maybe other cryptocurrencies. I mean, I would stay away from the altcoins. They're very speculative. But Cryon did say that a 12-bit encryption, that there's going to come one is going to come out that's going to have a 12-bit encryption. And he talks about base 12 also being adopted someday in the future, that in order for science to go further, to get some really big stuff, that they're going to have to start using base 12. That it's going to have to be widely used. I mean, we use base 10. You have 3.6, so when you get to 9, you go to 10. That's base 10. We're going to go to base 12. He says that the natural world is easier to explain, it's easier to study with base 12. That it's going to be easier to discover things using base 12. 55? Are we at 55 already? We're already near the temple? We can't be that far. Yeah, we are, I guess so. Okay, so this is sort of the beginning. This might be the temple over here. It might be just down the road there. You can almost see it from here. That's where I was on Saturday night. So now we're going into area I've never traveled before. I guess, are we? We didn't go that far, did we? I mean, I'm not planning on getting off. I'm going to Michigan. But, I mean, I'm only going 62. I slowed down. Maybe this area is just, maybe that's all the faster we can go in here. I guess it took me that long to do the news, and that's probably not even all the news. I think we're going to have some wars. There's going to be some disturbance between now and 2030. And I think things will start to look a little better maybe in 2029. But in 2030, this is going to all be done. And I've had people say to me, I don't need to mention names, oh, your prediction on the fall of China hasn't happened. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe you're wrong about it. I never gave a date. Cryon never gave a date on that one. When that was a message that Cryon gave in 2020 of March. Look for his 2020 March message. I don't know how well you can hear me. This road's really loud. But in March of 2024, he gave a message, and it's kind of an interesting message he gave. He said that the fall of China would happen. And he also talked about the fall of Big Pharma. That Big Pharma they'd be discovered, that they would be exposed. He said Big Pharma would be exposed, and that the CCP would step down. I don't think they'll be thrown out in a violent revolution. I think they'd step down, maybe similar to Russia. They'd be forced down. I don't think it'll be a civil war like what they had in 1917 or anything, but they'll step down, and that'll be. And I know this is not from Cryon though. I watch a lot of different things, and I do believe it's going to be 2030. And when that happens, that'll probably also open up the fall of North Korea, and that was predicted by Cryon too. That North Korea would step down, that they would not necessarily step down, but they would decide to do the right thing. I don't know if that means that they would actually step down, but Korea would be unified, but not in a bad way. It would be unified in a good way. And also they mentioned that Iran would have a revolution. Now that is a little bit different. Revolution. That could be a little different than stepping down. That Iran will have a revolution, and then the new people that take over will be younger, and they'll try to work out a peace deal in the Middle East, in Israel, in Palestine. And then that they will eventually succeed in that. It won't succeed right away, but they will. Iran is going to become the new Persian Empire, and I'm not saying that in a scary way. I'm saying that they're not going to just become a weak nothing because of the revolutions. You know, that could happen to China, where they just kind of lose power. But in Iran, they're going to actually become more powerful. And they're going to work for good things, though. They're going to throw their weight around to try to get peace in Palestine. And it's going to be a good thing. It might be a little scary to watch, but it'll actually turn out good. Now, Pakistan will break up, too. China and Pakistan will break up. And what's going to happen there is China will break up probably into pieces because they took areas that maybe they shouldn't have. I mean, especially Tibet. And Tibet will get its independence back. And then there might be some other areas that break off too that are autonomous regions right now that they'll just say, hey, let's run. Like they did in Russia, especially in the USSR. When USSR fell, some countries kind of fled. They thought, okay, let's get lost while we can. The same thing will happen in China. And in Pakistan will break up. And they'll actually come back to India later on. Some of the countries that are around India, and this is in Vedic predictions. This isn't from Cryon or anything. This is actually more stuff from Indian predictions. But it makes sense to me. Not all these are from the same source, in other words. That the countries that are surrounding India are going to actually rejoin India. Now, this might not even happen in my lifetime, but there's going to be a trend towards it that's going to start, and it already